Your nervous system operates like a high-speed data processing hub. It constantly receives information from your environment and coordinates exact responses to keep your internal systems balanced, a state known as homeostasis. This diagram shows a split-screen view of how this loop begins. On the left, a hand nears a campfire. The heat you feel is a stimulus, a detectable change in your environment. Notice how we track this on the right side as the first step in our flowchart. When things get too hot, your hand pulls away. That physical action is the response. This entire interaction ensures you react to your surroundings before damage occurs. To see what makes that quick reaction possible, look at this 3D model of the human body. The system is split into two parts. The brain and spinal cord form the central nervous system, acting as the main processing hub. Connecting this hub to the rest of your limbs is the peripheral nervous system, which functions as the body's cabling.
Every interaction you have with the outside world relies on this precise loop. Peripheral sensors gather the data, and the central hub decides what to do with it. Let's zoom into one of those peripheral cables. This diagram shows its fundamental building block, a single neuron. It has three distinct parts. The dendrites act as receivers, the cell body is the central processor, and the axon serves as the transmitter. When a signal arrives from the environment or another cell, it hits the dendrites first. They collect that incoming pulse and pass it directly into the cell body. Once the cell body processes that input, it fires an electrical signal outward, forcing it to travel down the entire length of the axon. Notice this insulating layer wrapping around the axon. That is the myelin sheath. By encasing the transmitter, it forces the electrical signal to travel at a significantly higher velocity. These physical parts mean neurons operate as highly specialized conduits. They are structurally optimized to push data in one direction at very high speeds. This cross-section illustrates exactly how those peripheral cables plug into the central nervous system at the spinal cord. We can map the cord's anatomy into two zones. The outer layer is the white matter, packed with those myelinated axons for rapid communication. The darker H shape in the center is the gray matter, which is where the actual processing takes place. Notice the strict routing of the spinal nerves connecting here. Incoming sensory data follows a direct path into the dorsal root at the back. Outgoing motor commands exit exclusively through the ventral root at the front. By separating these pathways, the spinal cord functions as a dual-lane highway. Incoming environmental data never crosses paths with outgoing muscular commands. This diagram shows two different types of neurons, neuron X on the left and neuron Y on the right. Notice the distinct differences in their physical shapes. Based on the traffic flow rules of the spinal cord we just mapped, take a moment to deduce which of these is the sensory neuron and which is the motor neuron. Neuron X is the sensory neuron. It requires a long dendrite to efficiently carry data all the way from receptors in your extremities to the dorsal root of the spinal cord. That leaves neuron Y as the motor neuron. It features a long axon because its job is to carry commands from the ventral root all the way out to your muscles. In biology, form dictates function. By examining a neuron's physical dimensions, you can reliably determine if it is an input wire or an output wire. We can see all these structural rules in action during a reflex, an involuntary automatic response. This diagram pairs a 3D anatomical model with a flowchart to map the reflex arc, which is the specific biological pathway that enables such rapid reactions. When a receptor detects a threat like extreme heat, it immediately fires an impulse. That signal travels straight up the arm through the sensory neuron. To save time, this signal entirely bypasses the brain. It routes directly into the spinal cord's gray matter and immediately triggers an outgoing motor neuron through the ventral root. That motor neuron delivers the command straight to the effector muscle, causing your arm to contract and pull away from danger. The reflex arc prioritizes immediate survival. By short-circuiting the conscious brain, it executes the fastest possible physical response. Here is a final diagram summarizing the core mapping rules. On the left, you distinguish sensory from motor neurons by their specific dendrite and axon lengths. On the right, track the strict input and output routes of the spinal cord's dorsal and ventral roots. Mastering these structural differences allow you to accurately map out neural pathways. Use these rules and you will be ready to solve standard O-level biology questions on the nervous system.